I'm back with another video, obviously, since you're watching me in a video. I am going to talk about my favorite books that I read in 2016. They're not really in any particular order. No, they're not in any particular order, except I'm going to save my favorite one for last, because I did have a favorite book of the year. I will leave links to reviews, all the books that I talk about down below, if I have reviews for them. I think I have reviews for most of them, because I try to review most books that I read anyway. The first book that I have here is Church of Marvels by Leslie Perry. This book was fabulous. It is about 3 different people in New York in, I feel like, the very early 1900s. I can't remember. I feel like it's before 1920, but I can't really remember because I read this almost a whole year ago now. But it follows 3 different people who have 3 very, very different stories, and they end up kind of connecting kind of towards the middle, and their stories intertwine, and it's really, really, really good. There was also a twist in it that I did not see coming, but it made total sense once it was revealed, which was pretty cool, and yeah, it was just a really, really good story. The Running Dream by Wendelin Van Dranen, which is about a girl who runs. She's on the cross-country team at her school, and she gets into a car accident and has to have her lower leg amputated, and it's just about her dealing with that and overcoming it, and her friends and her family and the way that everyone else is treating it and treating her and how they're helping her get through it. It's a really nice, heartwarming story, and it made me cry, and I read it really quickly. It's just, the writing is really easy to get into. It was very, very enjoyable. On the Fence by Casey West. This is my favorite realistic fiction by Casey West that I have read so far. It was super adorable, and I loved every minute of it. It's so cute and heartwarming and funny and fun and just adorable. Just, my heart. It was so good. It's just about a girl who is not very girly. She just has a dad and 3 older brothers, and so she's really into sports and not dressing up or wearing makeup or doing anything pretty with her hair, and then she ends up getting a job where she has to be dressed a little bit fancier, and she gets these girlfriends and kind of becomes a little bit more girly, and she's not sure of herself, and she's not sure who is really her anymore, and then there's obviously a guy in it, and it's just, it's good. If you like cutesy contemporaries, yes, this one. The Best Night of Your Pathetic Life by Tara Altebrando. I was not expecting to love this book as much as I did. I thought it was just going to be a fun story, and it was fun, but it was just, I loved it. It was so fun and relatable and realistic seeming, and just, it was just great. And it's just about a scavenger hunt. It's just about this big, huge scavenger hunt for people graduating that's put on by the people who graduated the previous year, and it lasts 12 hours, and it's mostly just about them doing the scavenger hunt. And it was just fabulous and so much fun, and there was a little bit of high school drama in it that I thought was not the kind of high school drama that there normally is in books. I feel like it was they made a big deal out of it, but it wasn't about stuff that was a big deal, and it kind of reminded me of when I was in high school, and I just, it was good. I really liked it a lot. It was great. Salt and Stone by Victoria Scott, which is the sequel to Fire and Flood. I liked this just as much as the first one. It was fast-paced, it was exciting, the main character is hilarious. It needs a 3rd book, is what it needs. It doesn't end. It ends the way a 2nd book in a series would end. So that, is no fault of the author, because I'm pretty sure she wanted to write a 3rd book, but that's the way it is. I would still recommend it though. It was great. Trial by Fire by Josephine Angelini. I absolutely loved this. Oh my goodness gracious. So good. I loved Rowan in it. Oh, so good. So, this is about a girl who is allergic to everything, pretty much. Not she's allergic to a lot of things, but she's just very sensitive to a lot of things, and she gets a high fever really easily, and she's always in and out of the hospital, and she ends up kind of accidentally, it's an accident to her, I guess, but she ends up being pulled into an alternate world which is basically her world but different, you know, it's an alternate one, and she there finds out the reasons for her being super sensitive to things and always getting a fever and being allergic to a lot of things. And the reason for that is because she is this type of magical witch. And the alternate world that she gets brought into, it's normal for witches to be a thing. It's like how the world runs, is they use witch power for things, and there's all this drama that's going on that she needs to help them with, and she needs to also come to terms with the fact that she's in an alternate world and she's now a witch. And it's really good, and the magic in it is really complicated and really interesting, and it was just really good. The Girl at Midnight by Melissa Gray. I adored this book. It is about a girl who ends up being taken in by bird people. They're magical people who keep themselves secret from the regular world, and they kind of look like birds. They have feathers and stuff. And so she knows all about this magical world. There's also magical people who kind of look like dragons, and they have always been rivals with each other, and they're both looking for something. And she ends up forming an alliance with some bird people and some dragon people to help them find the thing, and it's fabulous, and it's funny. The main character is hilarious and sarcastic and awesome, and also the dragon people in the story are not really up to date in today's world, so they're super behind on the times, and it's really funny when they're in the real world. Anyway, highly recommend. And the last and final book that I'm going to talk about is my favorite book of the year, and that was Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I have the second one, I have Crooked Kingdom, and I was going to read it in November, and it just didn't end up happening. But this book, you guys, if you haven't read this book, you need to get on that right now. This is, besides The Hobbit, was my first high fantasy book. It took me a little bit to get into because it's so otherworldly with no explanations about anything. You just kind of figure it out as you go along. But I did end up falling in love with it. This is a very character-driven story. It goes really, really deep into the characters' lives really well. I loved all of them, even the jerk Kaz. Freaking Kaz. Anyway, this was a wonderful, gritty, exciting, dark story about a bunch of criminals who all come together to perform a heist in a prison. A crazy, crazy, high security, insane, intense prison. It's pretty awesome. Obviously, since it's my favorite book of the year, but I absolutely loved it. I loved the characters and their stories, their backstories, how they came together, the way they reacted to everything. I loved that there was like some magic people in the world, but only like not everyone in the world is magic, but everyone knows about the magical people. And the way the magical people are treated by different people. It just is really like, it was like eye-opening and made you think and stuff, kind of like relates back to like the real world and how other people, like obviously not magical people, but how certain people are treated in the world, and how there's like different views from different people, and that like you can change your views. It was fabulous. If you haven't read this, you need to get on it, even if you're nervous about reading high fantasy, because I had never done so before, and look at me now! My favorite book of the year was a high fantasy book, so read it. Do it now. You can look in my description area. I'll have links to reviews of them all if you want. I might have like made some things up here too for certain videos. Who knows? We'll find that out when I upload it and you're watching it. Right, whatever, sure. I'll stop rambling. Bye!